Hello, my friends. Welcome to Lean and Clean with Fitness Chef Christine. I am Christine, your host, and today we welcome back Nicole. Nicole is got a new book that's out, Feminine Inspired Leadership. And we're here to talk about it and all the exciting things that her company's doing, Organizations by Design, which I have been so fortunate to be a part of, the facilitating group, and getting my certification through Nicole's company has been fabulous. So, Nicole, let's talk about the book. I know it just came out. But tell me how it came to be. How did you decide to write a book?
You know what? It's been 25 years in the making. It's really a culmination of all of the focus work that I've done as a leadership researcher. And I just felt that it was time to share what I call a feminine inspired approach to leadership, which is for both men and women.
I love that. I love that. And I know that the tagline says, I don't know if you can see it here, it says, Power Redefined, Leadership Reimagined. Can you share a little bit what that looks like in a real organization? What does that actually mean?
I think we're looking at shifting from some old patriarchal, masculine, energy heavy systems and approaches to leadership. I think the world today is really calling for not an authoritarian approach to leadership, but rather a flatter style of leadership and a feminine inspired leadership. So, really infusing some of that feminine energy, qualities, power, I like to say, where we're looking at things like collaboration. We're looking at leveraging the individuals that come to work for us every day and creating a place that can do amazing things together because of how we approach our people.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I love that you talked about it's not, when you hear feminine leadership, you think it's for women. But in fact, it's more of a leadership style than just a gender. And I really love that about it. I love that it's a positive thing and not exclusive. How do
So
you?
just on that note, Chris, I don't know if you noticed, but I dedicated the book to my dad.
Yeah, I did.
He exuded this, he role modeled this. And a lot of this feminine inspired leadership I also learned from a boss who hired me not once but twice. And I have one of my colleagues that sort of just exudes this style of leadership. And so you're right. It's about really creating a better balance, right? I think we've been off balance
Yeah.
sometimes with that sort of masculine, heavy, linear, logical. Not that those things don't matter and play in at different points in time, but I think we could use a lot more of the feminine infusion in leadership styles.
I think there's a misconception that you can't be a strong leader and be inclusive. And I think those things work together. So you can be a really strong feminine inspired leader and get great results by including people, not by, like you said, authoritarian rule, but really talking to people and understanding what their strengths are and where they can make a difference and make an impact. And I was thinking about like how do leaders balance that masculine and feminine in a corporate culture that rewards that hustle and control and go mode all the time. And I think we found that people burn out. So I love the fact that you talk about you can use feminine principles of intuition and collaboration and flow and without losing the effectiveness of leadership.
Yeah, we like to say that feminine inspired leadership isn't soft, it's actually strategic. If you can lead, and I think the other thing I want to say is we're not asking you to change who you are. We're asking you to augment or infuse your approach to leadership with this approach. We believe that each leader is an individual, authentic person, and you bring yourself into your work environment every day, whatever that is. And we're not asking you. I've read 200 leadership books, and I'm not about endorsing a particular style of leadership, like you have to have these four things or these four things. I think we're just talking here about something that's proven. And I think the difference here, Chris, is that the old way, the traditional way of leadership, as I say, it's not really working. It built societies, it built architecture, it built all kinds of things, but it doesn't work anymore in these times of complexity, in these times of chaos, in these times of challenge. In order to be able to navigate that churn, you have to create these kinds of leaders who can lead these kinds of teams, who can allow your organizations to not just survive, but actually thrive in the current environments. And that's what feminine inspired leadership can do for you, your team, and your organization.
I also think as a team member that it makes you feel heard and seen. And, when you're happy in your job, you perform better. You look forward to going to work. I know I've had the bosses that they put the fear of God in you and you just dread going. Oh, it's Monday again. I don't want to go. And that is how I actually end up working for myself because I just got tired of that, the Monday blues. But in working for myself, I've had a great opportunity to work with a lot of people in a lot of different organizations, big, small, everything in between. And I've gotten to see ones that actually work, that work together, and it's a fun environment to work in. And people are excited to come to work. And there's a lot of entrepreneurial spirit, and people are enthused about having some autonomy where they can be creative versus, this is your box and you work.
Yeah, and I think what I hear you talking about is also what I talk to leaders about. The return on investment for this kind of leadership development, you have higher engagement, you have higher job satisfaction, you have lower absenteeism, you have lower turnover. You actually have people waiting in line outside the door to say, when can I get in and for your next vacancy? Because I want to work in this type of culture where I say, hip, hip, hooray, I get to go to work today, where I'm feeling valued, where I'm feeling that my voice is heard, where I'm feeling that the role that I play is so important. And I think you're right with that connection around burnout. When you have work environments that are like the ones that you've worked in, they're not very fun to go to
No.
work for every day. And one of the things that I love to do with my clients, and this is just a little tool, a little giveaway today for people. Think about your best team, Chris. Think about what was that best team that you worked on, where you were in the flow, where you were just connected, where you were working seamlessly together, where you were valuing each other's stuff, where you were getting amazing things done in very short periods of time. And for different people, that would be very different settings. But that's what we're creating in this model that we have. We're trying to put you in that position where you have that best team in every department of your organization, where your organization it functions like that. And that innovation word really factors into that as well. Because when you can get into that state, you can do absolutely unstoppable things together.
Right. And I love that. When I went through the workshop, this is for our audience, but when I went through the training, rather, the 10 weeks, we did 10 weeks at 3 hours a week, so 30 hours of training with Nicole. She was very generous in sharing her knowledge. One of the biggest takeaways, one of the best trainings we had was on inner glass ceilings. Oftentimes we hold ourselves back. We have these imaginary glass ceilings where we think we just can't grow anymore or we're stagnated or whatever that is. And through this past year, I have blown that out of the water. Excuse me. I've challenged myself to try all kinds of new things because I'm getting closer and closer to 60 and I want to be as adventurous as possible. But this is like real life stuff. And I'm telling you, when you get into the nuts and bolts of inner glass ceiling, it is really interesting how much of that is our own issues. What holds us back is us. And really, I think everybody can benefit from going through that training and that understanding of what actually is holding us back.
Yeah.
And it isn't always external, but external does play in it. So I think it's a combination of internal and external that hold us back. And having an organization that is open to your talents is amazing. And I want people to take the time to really look at all the work you're doing. And by the way, Nicole has some great free workshops. So I'm going to link below how you can find out about the free workshops and what you can do to get involved in the work that she's doing. It's just amazing. And I'm so pleased to be part of it.
Yeah, and Chris, I think that that feminine inspired leadership that we're talking about is for everybody. And then you got the women's only women's leadership series, and that inner glass ceiling was one of 10 modules, a very powerful module. That's intensive work that I did that was boiled down. It's a hugely impactful module. And yes, and I'm so glad I'm so glad that it had the impact and the intent that it was meant to have, and that it's put you in that new state
Yeah.
where you're just doing all kinds of things that you would never have done before you shattered your inner glass ceiling. Now, having said that, Chris is you're a highly competent woman. You're doing such amazing things. And so this women's leadership course isn't for wilting flowers. We're actually looking for people like Chris, because what we know is that that inner glass ceiling that each of us have as very competent women leaders, it's something that holds us back. And so once you can shatter that, the possibilities are absolutely unlimited, and you're able to really fully self actualize in that part of your life. So that's a very powerful piece of the women's leadership series. Yeah.
And by the way, for those that don't know, it was an international group. So that in itself was very interesting to me because sometimes we get in our own little bubble. Like I look at things from an American perspective because I live in the US and Nicole lives in Canada. And we have people from South Africa and we have people from all over Europe. And having those international perspectives really opened my eyes to see that we all deal with different issues in business as women. And so I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, and I loved the fact that there was also a whole lot of common ground, right? Regardless of what industry we practice in, regardless of the title that we hold, whether it's in a corporate, big organization, or an entrepreneur like you, Chris, there was so much common ground when we were having those conversations about executive presence, when we were talking about mastering paradoxes, when we were looking at how to infuse the feminine. When we talked about some of those barriers, we've all run into them, right? So we have this common ground. And it's really focused not on the past and things that have happened, as much as those stories are very powerful, but we are very focused on moving forward, lifting each other up, elevating growth, all that sponsorship, those power networks that we talk about in one of our modules. So it's not a therapy group where we're talking about all that stuff. It's
Right.
we make a contract with each other at the beginning, don't we, Chris? We
We
make our
sure do.
shared commitments, and the energy and the connection. I think that was another really surprising thing that people said. I couldn't believe it. I hadn't met these women before. They come from all over the world, and now they're part of this sort of sisterhood. Like we're just so connected. You guys are so connected.
And you know what, that's kudos to you because we had this safe space where we could talk about what our goals are, where we want to go in business, what we struggle with, all of it. And so having that safe growth container and being able to speak frankly about what our struggles were and how we overcome them with your leadership really helped us connect with each other. We did some breakout work. It's like being in person, but it's online. And I feel as if I know these women forever. And it's hard to explain how you get that connection just being online with each other, but it does happen. And that was just a wonderful experience. And knowing that you could say, hey, this is what I'm struggling with. These are the tools that are available to us. This is because we did those breakout groups and we were able to speak real frankly with each other. And I just found it to be super helpful.
Yeah, and you're right, Chris. It is about the growth container. I know that women leaders need that. And doing that allows us to have the type of conversations that we're able to have. And so for that particular program, that's really important that happens. And then that allows magical things to happen.
And it did.
Yeah. And
um,
so we have a vision for this women's leadership series. We want to turn it into not just a program, but a movement, right? We
yes.
have this global cohort of which you are a part of. And I am just so excited about the cohort that you're going to co-facilitate. Yeah, in early December.
Wonderful.
And we just, yeah, I think we want to make this go viral. We want to have the opportunity to get this in front of as many women as possible. And it's interesting that you talk about being able to do this in a virtual environment. So I was pushed into a virtual environment with COVID. We were planning on doing face-to-face leadership experiences and retreats and workshops, and we end up going online. And what I've heard from all of the people that have had an experience like you, Chris, is whether it's in person or whether it's online, it's equally transformational. So we're
Yeah.
able to really create that space. Remember Shar talking about, oh, this is exactly what I want. This is exactly what I need right now that I want to talk about. And for those of you that are going to contemplate joining Chris's cohort with her co-facilitator, Vicky, you think, oh my gosh, 3 hours a week or whatever. And it's just like the time flies by. Like, honestly, people are like, no, it's not time to go. I'm like, yeah, it's time to go. No, we need to keep on talking. It's no, it's time to go. We'll talk again next week. The material, I think, is so compelling. The conversations are like mind blowing. The work that we do together is just absolutely transformational over the course of that 10-week program. Yeah.
Can you talk to me a little bit about the workshops leading up to the program? So, we do have some free workshops coming up with a global group. So, there's lots of great opportunities. And I'm going to drop those, like I said, into the show notes so everybody can find it. But maybe give us a little preview of what's coming.
Sure. So we have one this Friday, October 17th, on executive presencing, and then we have two in November. One of them is on our Shatter Your Inner Glass Ceilings.
My fave.
And the Chris and Vicky are going to be co-facilitating those. So you'll get to see Chris online wearing one of her other hats. What we typically do, Chris, is we take one of the module, like content from one of the modules. Of course, we only have an hour in these action-packed workshops. And so it really gives you a taste of what's to come, right? We pack a lot in that 3 hour module in the women's leadership course, but you get, it's like an appetizer. It's like a taster or a teaser. So you get to come in and really experience what Chris is talking about in a 60, and we're able to do that in the 60 minutes. You would not believe the information that people share. You would not believe what happens in that growth container for 60 minutes. Come on out. They're free. They're, like I said, lots and lots of information on executive presencing, building resilience, sorry, not resistance, shattering your inner glass ceiling, which is what we've been talking about a little bit today. Invisible scripts is another one that's really fun. Again, taken from the material in the women's leadership. So yeah, we'd love to have you join us from anywhere. Block it off in your calendar and come on in.
It's
Love
well
to see
worth
you.
your time. Definitely
Yeah.
make time for it. Let me just ask you, we'll just ask a couple final questions here, but I want to be respectful of your time. I know you have a lot going on. If you had someone that just came to you and said, what's one simple practice that could help someone lead from the inside out starting today? Like one thing you could change. If you're totally overwhelmed, what's something you could shift?
What do you mean by lead from the inside out, Chris? What do you
So,
mean?
gathering up your feminine leadership, what could you change today? Like you don't have to wait. You can just make a tiny change today. I know it's a tough one.
Yeah, because there's so much
I
packed
know.
into that. There's so much packed into that book.
And there, okay,
And the
let
book
me,
has great and the
you
book
think,
has great reflection
yes,
questions
you
in
think
it.
about
Yeah.
that for
So
a second while I talk about the book for a sec,
sure.
okay? I'll come back to
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
So if you look at the back, there's toolkits, there's so much information packed in here, but there's strategic questions that get you thinking. And so it's not just about reading, it's also walking you through different patterns. Really, you can get the book anywhere. It's global. All right. I got one of the first copies because I'm a spaz and like I saw it was for sale. I was like, buy. But I have to tell you that I wouldn't be so quick to buy it if I didn't know how great Nicole was and how great Organizations by Design is. So it's a great investment no matter where you are in your journey of leadership. And it's not just for people who are corporate. I run my own company, so it still applies to me. And if you're an entrepreneur, you have to be even better at leadership because not only do you have to lead your people, but you also have to talk to all your customers and know what drives them. This book will help a lot. Okay,
Mm.
now that I give you
And
some
it's
time,
available on Amazon in 13 different countries, right? So
yeah,
there's
and I'll
some
put the
links
links
there.
in so
Yeah, of
it's
course.
easy to buy.
Yeah, I think what I would say, Chris, is leadership really starts with you and how you show up every day. And people see that, they feel that. And so I think I would start with a reflection question about how are the ways that I'm showing up in my business, in my role as a team lead, as a manager, or as a CEO, and taking some time to do some self reflection. There's a ton of leadership batteries out there. There's all kinds of resources, like you said in that book, but really, I think pressing pause. I think we go at such a pace and we just go, and sometimes we don't think, and sometimes we just do. And part of one of the foundational pieces of this is that reflection piece for yourself, for you to, there's some ideas and strategies in there to do that with your team. But when we don't take time to stop and take a little bit of an inventory and think about, even if you're struggling, like you said, even if you're burnt out, like many people are, you're in this rat race, or you're just feeling like you're on a treadmill, you're not really going anywhere. Just stop and spend some time thinking about what's happening. Like, why is that happening? Do some sort of meta analysis, right? If I was looking down at myself and what I'm doing, what's going on here, like that self awareness, that ability to reflect. And if you can't do it yourself, there's business coaches out there. I do a VIP women's only and team coaching. I think starting with that. And then what you end up figuring out is where are the gaps, or how can I build my capacity to be able to approach that in a different way that's going to make me feel differently.
I love it. And I think with that, we are going to offer everybody to join us in our workshops, in the full program. And I will drop all those links in the show notes. And I want to thank you, Nicole. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for leading me. Thank you for all the hard work that you've done. Thank you for the great book and for being on the show.
Oh, Chris, right back at you. What a blessing it has been to have you come into this women's leadership
Thank you.
global movement. What a gift it is to be able to be on your show again today.
Love
I
it.
know that you exude this feminine inspired leadership, and I'm grateful just for everything that you are doing to be part of this movement forward with immense gratitude. Thank you so much.
I'm thrilled to be part of it. And I wholeheartedly believe that we are all better for really in tuning into our feminine leadership, and really we always strive to improve how we connect with people. So it's super important.
Yeah, and people's at the heart of all this, right?
That's right.
People is at
That's
the heart
right.
of all this. Yeah,
It's all about
yeah,
connecting with people and not
yeah.
only improving our own lives, but improving the lives of the people that we connect with. So I look forward to connecting again on here after our full program rolls out and we've all had a chance to really connect with more and more people and we become a full movement. So I'm really excited for it.
Thanks again, Chris. Have a
Thank
great
you.
rest of the day. Bye, everyone.